That alone, verse number 84. As modifications of earth are known, it is said they exist. This is untrue when considered. What exists is earth. The countless entities remaining without foundation are all innate forms of nature existing in knowledge. Commentary. What is your conception of the real world, the world of your actual experience? When you try to answer this question, what comes to mind is a number of pictures pieced together of such things as the house you live in, the trees around you, the streets where you walk, and the people you see there, cars that drive by, shops in the town, the sky above. You can go on extending your conception by recalling more things from your memory. Just as you know one city, you are also familiar with other cities you have visited or lived in before. You can piece them all together and bring to your mind what you have studied of geography, using a globe augmented by photographs of the earth taken from space. There are many such scattered images existing in your mind. You make a mosaic out of them and call it the world. This is what Narayana Guru calls here Avani Vikaram. There are several Sanskrit words to denote the earth. One is Avani, which means the abode of all beings. When you think of your abode, your mind is filled with all these pictures, all the familiar scenes of your dwelling place. The Guru says you think it is real because you experience it, but it's not. For the second earth in this verse, the Guru uses another term, Ulla Turvi. While Anavi means abode, Urvi means that which is extended, implying earth in the sense of its extensiveness. If you think of pure extension, you do not attribute any content to it at all. But every specific reference you make within the extension also has its own intention. The actual city or geographic area being delimited, you have in your mind a very special reference, and the intention is the referral to a particular city and not some other one. When you say a person's name, the extension is their physical form, and the intention is the specific person with a particular name, character, and personality. So intention and extension are two different aspects. Earth as extension only, without intention, remains without any modification. The intention brings the modification. The concept of earth as your abode has many intentional modifications put together. Narayana Guru says that pure extension is real, while the intention or the modification you give to it is unreal. When you say clay is real because you see it and pot is real because you see it, we don't see any difference between the two statements. But the Guru says the clay is real and the pot is unreal. A lump of clay is seen in the same way a pot is seen. So how can one be real and the other not real? If you say the pot is unreal because it is a modification of clay, how is it unreal? It is unreal only in the sense that the substance of the pot and the substance of the clay are not two different things. They are one and the same clay. But with the pot, in addition to the substance of the clay, a familiar shape has been formed and the name pot assigned to it. The pot-shaped clay is the modification, the modulation of pure clay. The pure extension is the clay, and the intention that the potter has put into it is the pot. You should be able to make this subtle discrimination of an unmodified state and a modified state. The unmodified belongs to the general, and the modified belongs to the specific. The unmodified belongs to the thing in itself, whereas the modification is part of the subject's perception of the thing. You see everything in terms of gestalts. So you become a participant in the experience, not just an observer. Part of your mind has become the picture. Moreover, you are confused as to subject and object. When the subject and object intermix, if you do not recognize the subjective aspect of the picture, but treat it as an objective factor, you are making an important mistake. The world in which we live ranges from the most objective to the most subjective. In between, there are several shades of intermixing. The criterion for discrimination is that which is absolutely true. What is absolutely true is an existence which is the same all through the duration of time. In the beginning, the middle, and the end, it should be the same. This is the paramartha, the absolute meaning. In this world, both the observer and the observed are undergoing constant change. It's a transitory world. Within the frame of reference of change, we can have a conditioned truth, which is of a relativistic order. This is vyavahara, meaning transactionally valid. So we have two frames of reference. One is the absolute frame of reference of pure existence, pure knowledge, and the absolute basis of value. Derived from this is another frame of reference in which there is a relative existence, conditional knowledge, and a relativistic value system. Relative existence is arrived at by the common consent of all participants. If what I experience as an existing factor is recognized by another also as an existing factor, we have an understanding that vouchsafes its relative existence, regardless of its status, as an absolute truth. If two children are playing and they imagine they are a father and a mother, maintaining a home, going to work, and even raising babies, that is an existential reality for them. It's totally imaginary. But since they both agree to think that way, it is perfectly valid. If we go to a drama where the same person plays many parts, only changing his voice and expression a little, we all agree that now he is one person, now another. It's a shared supposition. There is a physical basis in a situation where one person is sitting on a couch and other people see him sitting there, for instance. This is not imaginary. It seems to have a physical basis. But for us to come to a common consent, there doesn't even have to be a physical reality. In our dreams, we can have similar experiences, not knowing if it is a physical reality or not until we wake up. Similarly, it could be possible that we will wake up from our empirical existence to still another state, and then the empirical experience will no longer be real. What you should understand from all this is that this is a very tricky area. What you call the empirical world is not entirely empirical, as you mainly depend on your gestalt, and it is up to you to put the rich imagination of your fancy into each situation to make it interesting. The objectivity of it is minimal. Is there anything really objective? Here the Guru says, Prakriti Swarupam Agam. For these countless imageries that fill the extension of the universe, the prime cause is Prakriti. And what is Prakriti? It is the pure attribute of Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, knowledge, motion, and rest. On one side, we have the universal concrete, where you and I feel the stability of the earth under our feet and the impenetrability of a wall or another body. It is a state of rest, stability, inertia. If more and more people are packed into a room, either the room would break or the people would be crushed. But that doesn't happen with ideas. Even if I fill my brain with all the knowledge of an encyclopedia, there still will be plenty of room for the acceptance of new ideas without my head being in any danger of bursting. So the world of ideas and the world of concrete bodies are different. One belongs to sattva and the other to tamas. A third thing is also involved. If all the people in a room get up and run around, it creates a new situation. Movement changes the relationships of things. This is rajas, motion. Motion can happen to physical things and also to thoughts. It can be outside and inside, and it is homogeneous. So Prakriti contains things which are stable, things without bodies and motion. Each of these three factors has its own dynamics, and one is not superior to another. Each has an important role to play. Pure extension is the same as pure unmodified consciousness. Within unmodified consciousness, numerous modifications can be created and structured. When Schrödinger said that this world is a construct of percepts and concepts, he was right. But perceptions and conceptions are not static bricks. Even the most concrete reality changes and is no longer a reality for us in another state of consciousness. When you sleep, if you dream that you have fallen into the sea and are being carried away by a wave, you experience watery movement, but you are on a stationary bed. The concreteness of the bed is not being felt. So when you say concrete, you have to ask, concrete for whom? Concrete for a knowing mind. Concrete in consciousness. It is not stable, however. The whole purpose of a spiritual pursuit is to learn to discriminate between truth and falsehood, so that what you consider to be happiness is not an illusion, but a reality. Thus, discrimination becomes the most important part of the search. Discrimination is to be made on at least three levels. One is to distinguish between illusion and transactional validity. Another is to discriminate between transactional validity and absolute or transcendental validity. And of course, we need to distinguish between illusory and absolute validity. Between tamas and rajas, various kinds of illusions can be created. Some of them are not illusions in the sense we usually think of, but they are nonetheless illusions of major importance. For instance, you may wake up some morning to find it has been freezing and raining all night. It's a concrete reality, solid ice coating everything like glass. You are cut off from other places since you can't use your car and it is unsafe even to walk to the store for food. Because of the morbidity, ice as the inertial state of water, it does not move. Then the sun comes out, and after some time it has all melted and evaporated. You don't see anything. It's all gone. You can say this is both real and unreal. It is an illusion for some time, created by an inertial state of matter. It's not that it wasn't matter. For all practical purposes, it belongs to the world of empirical reality, but it is caused by inertia. When the inertia changes into motion, that state goes away and is replaced by another. Similarly, a flood may come, which after a few hours subsides and is gone. The flood is not inertia, but motion, but it passes just as the ice did. Thus, at the concrete level, motion and inertia, rajas and tamas, cause states which can be threatening or dangerous. Yet after a little while, there is no trace of them. They are ephemeral. The same thing can happen in the field of consciousness. There, inertia does not create any concrete event. Instead, you may get a feeling perhaps that your best friend does not trust you, is hiding something from you, or is possibly even plotting with your enemy. The absence of your friend at a certain time and place combines with seeing her in the company of your enemy at another time to confirm your suspicion. So a darkness sets in, which can be just as bad and dangerous as ice coating the highway. Inertia here means your mind itself has become immobile, and no communication is possible until it thaws. You cannot put your thoughts across at all. This is another case of tamas, not on a concrete level, but on a very subtle one. But just as the ice melts when the sun comes, the misunderstanding can disappear as soon as a certain word is spoken or a point is cleared up. Oh, she was just visiting her mother. Then you are ashamed there ever was such a state. And like the flood of water on the concrete side, there can be a big emotional upsurge, a torrent which shakes your whole body, makes you weep or shout hysterically. It carries you along helpless in its grip. Then it all drains away. It's all gone, and now you feel like yourself again. This is Rajas acting at a subtle level. There is also a pure light that shows things as they really are in the concrete world. It is matched by the pure light of intelligence, which clearly distinguishes truth from falsehood in the subtle world of ideas. This is the sattvic element. When we speak of the modifications of nature caused by sattva, rajas and tamas, pure knowledge, motion and rest or inertia, you should think of the whole range that is possible. They can operate at what is considered to be an objective level, at what is considered to be a subjective level, and in the interlacing of the two. In this verse, Narayana Guru wants us to know pure knowledge, and that the three dynamics, what he calls the modifications of earth, operate within the frame of reference of this pure knowledge. In their operation, they produce endless specific modifications, which range from the illusory through the transactional to the transcendental. In this range are many degrees of difference, and these are very important to differentiate. Simply saying they are all modifications does not help you. You have to see in each piecemeal experience what kind of modification has come, what its essential nature is, and how you can see through it. This means a transparency of vision is to be cultivated, by which you can neutrally assess a situation that is superficially dismal or cheerful. If you look outside and see that your car is buried in snow and ice, either you have to look for some special equipment to clear it all away, or you can say, this is not going to be a permanent feature. If not today, tomorrow the sun will come and melt it all. When you think like that, you don't become panicky. If you don't know what causes a situation or how long it will remain, you are ill-equipped. Most of us make our lives miserable by taking the illusory as transactional and by not seeing a way out of the transactional into the transcendental. If the transactional is binding and you do not see a way out, then you are fully committed to it. But it should not be binding. There are any number of so-called transactional commitments which are unnecessary. You can free yourself from them. You don't have to perpetuate misery by keeping yourself obliged in so many situations. On the whole, you should understand that you need a normative notion of the Absolute. The normative notion of the Absolute is that it is pure knowledge. Your personal self is the pure self that shines by itself in the dark, without anything else. It is self-luminous, and that light is knowledge. a pure state of knowledge. What you call the Absolute is also pure knowledge. So there is substantially no difference between the personal self and the universal self. It is to the existence of that knowledge that you refer the existence of anything else. Thus, a conviction of validity comes from the existential reality you feel of your own self. When this kind of existential validity is recognized by a number of people, the reference is then to a universal self and not to a private one. The self is an existence of knowledge which has no beginning and no end. It is beyond time. It is a timeless experience of pure being. It is not only existence, it is knowledge of pure existence. As it is self-founded, not lacking in anything, not needing anything to be added to make it complete or perfect, it is a value in itself. As it is a value in itself, it is the most dear experience. When you come into your own in anything, you experience the same endearment value. This is the measuring rod you can use for each modification to see if it is absolutely illusory, if it belongs to the transactional world where a number of people can interact on the basis of common consent, or if it is a universal truth. Now you are fully supplied with all the requirements, the self or pure knowledge as your normative notion, the three dynamics of nature as the causal factor in all experiences, the triple phases of the transcendental, the transactional, and the illusory, and the method of applying the principle of discrimination to distinguish the illusory from the transactional as well as from the transcendental. And the free translation of verse 84 is as follows: from the mere fact that one perceives the transformation of forms, it cannot be maintained that the modifications, such as of clay, are real. When critically considered, clay alone is, and the form is unreal. The very many entities that are seeming to be so are only nature's modalities transforming knowledge.